Most decluttering advice online tells you to buy organizers, follow trending systems, or try complicated challenges. But people who truly master decluttering usually follow a few simple rules. And strangely, almost nobody talks about them. In this video, you'll learn practical rules that quietly keep homes calm and manageable without chasing trends or buying more storage containers. You'll also see why many popular organizing methods work for a short time, but slowly fall apart in real homes where life is busy and routines aren't perfect. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever tried an organizing system that worked beautifully for a week, and then little by little everything drifted back to clutter? If that's happened to you, you're definitely not alone. If this topic feels familiar, like the video, subscribe for simple ideas that actually last, and tap the hype button to support the channel. Because what usually happens inside most homes follows a very familiar pattern. It often starts like this. You decide one weekend that it's finally time to organize the closet. So you take everything out, fold the clothes neatly, line up storage boxes, and arrange the shelves so everything finally looks calm and tidy. For a few days, opening the closet actually feels good, but then normal life starts again. A sweater ends up on the chair instead of going back on the hanger. Shoes get pushed to the side after a long day. A couple of things land in random spots because you're in a hurry. And slowly the closet starts to feel crowded again. At that point, it's easy to think the organizing system didn't work. But most of the time, the real problem isn't the storage. People who have mastered decluttering understand something simple. Clutter usually doesn't start because we lack organizers. It starts with small everyday habits. Keeping things just in case. Organizing before letting go of what we don't need. Putting items in places that don't match how we actually live. Delaying decisions about what to keep. None of these habits seem like a big deal on their own, but over time they quietly rebuild clutter. That's why experienced decluttering experts rely on a few simple rules that prevent clutter from building up in the first place. And the first rule is one most people completely overlook. Rule 1. Reduce before you organize. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to declutter is starting with organizing. It feels productive to buy containers, rearrange shelves, and create label spaces. But when there are simply too many items, even the most beautiful organizing system quickly becomes overwhelmed. What experienced decluttering masters understand is something simple but powerful. Organizing works best when there is less to organize. Now, many homes become cluttered not because people are messy, but because everyday life slowly fills spaces with more things than those spaces were designed to hold. When drawers, cabinets, and closets are packed with items, no amount of organizing containers can truly fix the problem. That's why the first rule is always to reduce before organizing. Instead of starting with bins or storage solutions, begin by removing what no longer needs to be there. Look for duplicates, and items that haven't been used in months, or things you kept simply out of habit. Letting go of even a small number of items immediately creates breathing room in a space. Think about a kitchen drawer filled with 20 different utensils. When everything is crammed together, it feels chaotic and hard to maintain. But once the drawer is reduced to the 8 tools you actually use each week, something interesting happens. The drawer suddenly feels easier to open, easier to clean, and easier to keep organized. The same principle works in closets, bathrooms, and living spaces. When the number of items decreases, the effort required to maintain order decreases too. Reducing first changes the entire experience of organizing. Instead of constantly rearranging crowded spaces, you're simply maintaining a system that already fits what you own. Once the number of items in a space is under control, The next challenge becomes making sure the system actually works for the way you live every day. Rule 2. Organize around real life, not perfect systems. Many organizing systems look beautiful in photos. Everything is labeled, containers are perfectly aligned, and shelves appear spotless. But what often gets overlooked is that real homes are full of movement, routines, and small daily habits. When an organizing system ignores how people actually live, it rarely lasts for long. And clutter often returns because the system requires more effort than everyday life allows. If putting something away feels inconvenient, even by a few extra steps, it usually ends up somewhere easier instead. That's why experienced decluttering experts design spaces around real habits, not perfect systems. Instead of forcing items into places that look ideal, they pay attention to where things naturally land. Those patterns reveal where storage should actually exist. For example, many people place their keys on the nearest surface when they walk into the house. If the storage solution for those keys is in a drawer across the room, the system will likely fail. But placing a simple tray or small bowl near the entryway instantly solves the problem because it matches the natural routine. The same idea applies throughout the home. Shoes tend to gather near the door, mail collects on the kitchen counter, and bags often land on chairs. These behaviors are not signs of disorganization. They're clues about how the home should be arranged. When storage aligns with real life, something important happens. Items return to their places more easily, clutter piles form less often, and maintaining order requires far less effort. A home that works with your habits will always be easier to maintain than one designed around perfection. Once systems begin to match the way people actually move through their homes, the next rule focuses on something equally important: controlling how clutter enters the home in the first place. Rule 3. Control what enters the home. One quiet truth about clutter is that it rarely appears all at once. It grows slowly, almost invisibly, as new things enter the home faster than old things leave. A small purchase here, a gift there, an item bought just in case. None of these moments feel significant on their own, but over time they add up. Drawers become tighter. Closets feel more crowded. Surfaces begin collecting more things than they comfortably hold. This is why experienced decluttering experts focus not only on removing clutter, but also on controlling what enters the home in the first place. Without a simple boundary, possessions naturally expand to fill every available space. One of the easiest rules to follow is this: when something new comes in, something similar leaves. This rule keeps the total number of items in balance. It doesn't require perfection, and it doesn't stop you from bringing useful things into your home. It simply prevents quiet accumulation. For example, if you buy a new jacket that you love, take a moment to look through the ones you already own. Is there one that hasn't been worn in a year? Donating that jacket creates space for the new one without adding extra pressure to your closet. The same idea works with books, kitchen tools, shoes, and even decorative items. Each time something new arrives, something older moves on to someone who can use it. Over time, this simple habit protects your space from slowly filling back up. Instead of constantly decluttering large piles later, you gently manage the flow of things entering your home. And once fewer items are entering your space, the final rule focuses on something just as important: removing the mental clutter that keeps things lingering longer than they should. Rule 4. Decide. Once one of the hidden reasons clutter lingers in a home is not the number of items, but the number of unfinished decisions attached to them. Many things stay in our spaces because we keep postponing a clear choice. An item moves from a shelf to a drawer, from one room to another, and then back again. Months pass, yet the decision about whether to keep it never truly gets made. This constant reconsidering quietly drains energy and creates small clutter zones throughout the home. Decluttering masters approach this differently. When they decide something belongs in their home, they give it a clear place. And when they decide something no longer serves them, they let it go instead of revisiting the decision again and again. Making the decision once creates clarity. Think about hobby supplies that haven't been used in years. They might move between closets, shelves, and storage bins, always waiting for the day they might be used again. But when you pause and ask yourself whether this activity still fits your current life, the answer often becomes clear. If the hobby still brings value, it deserves a proper space. If not, letting those items go frees up both physical space and mental energy. This rule removes a surprising amount of hidden pressure inside the home. Instead of constantly revisiting the same decisions, you move forward with confidence about what belongs in your space. And when these simple rules begin working together, something powerful happens. Before we continue, take a moment to think about your own home. Which area seems to collect clutter the fastest? Have you ever bought organizing containers that looked helpful but didn't actually solve the problem? And out of the rules we've talked about so far, which one feels like the easiest place for you to start this week? When these simple rules begin to work together, the change inside a home can feel surprisingly powerful. Imagine waking up in the morning and walking into a kitchen where the counters are clear and easy to use. There's space to prepare breakfast without moving piles of things out of the way. Opening your closet no longer feels overwhelming. Clothes fit comfortably on the hangers, and you can see what you own without digging through crowded shelves. Cleaning the house becomes faster too. With fewer items sitting on surfaces, wiping a table or tidying a room takes minutes instead of turning into a long chore. More importantly, the home starts to feel calmer. Instead of constantly managing things, you feel more in control of your space and your daily routines. And this kind of change rarely happens overnight. It usually begins with one small decision, one drawer, one shelf, or one habit at a time. Over time, those small adjustments quietly add up to a home that feels easier to live in every day. Decluttering isn't about chasing the latest organizing trend or trying to create a perfectly minimal home that looks like a magazine photo. It's really about making daily life simpler. It's about creating spaces where routines feel easier, where cleaning takes less effort, and where the things you keep actually support the life you're living now. The best place to begin is simply choosing one of these rules and trying it in a small area of your home this week. Small steps often lead to the most lasting changes. And if this video helped you think about decluttering in a simpler way, tap the like button and hit the hype button to support the channel. Subscribe for more practical decluttering and organizing ideas that make everyday life easier, and share this video with someone who might also want a calmer home. Because a peaceful home isn't created by trends. It's built through simple rules that quietly make life easier every day.